idea is that we digitize ownership, and as Mahanti from the Monetary Authority of Singapore will tell you, the next step after open finance is an open economy. And so this is our first foray into that space.
You said you did a short presentation earlier. Do you think the Philippines is ready for an open economy?
I guess so. Well, with all of the brilliant Filipinos out here and even our foreign friends helping the Philippines, I think we're ready.
All right, we can count on DICT to help make that happen. Rico?
Okay, so good noon everyone. I'm Rico Bautista. I'm the President and CEO of Etica Philippines. And at the same time, I'm also the President of the Philippine Life Insurance Association. So what we basically do is that we offer our group health and group insurance policies to around 3,000 corporations and companies here in the Philippines, including conglomerates and multinationals. We are also part of the Maybank Group. We are majority owned by the Maybank Group, and we have a bank insurance partnership with them. And at the same time, we have our non-life products that we offer, whether it's travel, auto, motor, fire, and even goods insurance. So that's what we do. And most recently, we were able to partner with Igloo, and we're now in Shopee and Gcash. And we're able to sell more than 2.1 million policies in 5 months. So and that's kind of one of the reaches that we have as well, as far as our company is concerned. So the next big thing for us as a company is harping on our what we call a Go Unified campaign, which basically means that we want to be known as a company, an insurance company that offers life, health, non-life companies under one brand, one roof, one organization. So because you don't have to hop from one insurance company to the other to be able to get all your insurance needs. At the same time, we are harping on being an insurtech. We want to leverage on technology to be able to improve the way we do things as an insurance company.
All right, thank you for that, Rico. Alan?
Yeah, hello everyone. My name is Alan. I'm from the Alibaba Group. I'm the country manager of the Alibaba Cloud in the Philippines. Actually, we have been here for more than 3 years also. And now Alibaba Cloud is, sometimes you are very familiar with Alibaba Group and also Jack Ma, our just like founder, right? So actually, Alibaba Cloud become the technology backbone of the whole Alibaba Group. And also now Alibaba Cloud also is ranked as the worldwide top 3 and also the Asia Pacific #1 cloud service provider. In the Philippines, together with the Lazada, together with Alipay, and also Alibaba Cloud, Alibaba Group also to make more efforts to support the Philippines digital economies, just like the development and also the acceleration. So if you feel any any interested to work with Alibaba Group and also Alipay, Alibaba Cloud, and also to see how Alibaba Group, the digital business and also the digital technology was adopted into the policies, adopted was into the SME and also the vertical industries. Just feel free to reach with us. Definitely we will make the support. Okay.
Thank you, Alan. Dino?
Yes, hi, good afternoon. I'd like to thank Amor for inviting me here to be part of this distinguished panel. I'm Dino Bate. I'm from SME Financial, the largest online stockbroker in the Philippines. We have over 500,000 customers today and assets over 100 billion pesos. We've been in the business for over 20 years now, and we've been educating our clients to be well-informed investors. And the next big thing is now that we've built on this foundation of retail investors who are willing to grow their wealth. We will now be expanding more of our products and services to help them, regardless of the age or income level, to be able to access and learn about investing for their future.
All right, thank you, Dina. So I want to start the first round with Erica and John from the Union Bank family. We know that Union Bank has been a pioneer in the digital space. You guys were ahead, as some would say, into this space. I'm very curious, what do you think is the next stage of fintech development that will further empower SMEs? what happens after digital payments? What's next?
I think after digital payments, a lot of people here are slowly looking into digital assets, blockchain, and cryptocurrency, right? Most of us here, if not a lot of the SMEs, are slowly getting their feet wet using the efficiencies that are given by digital payments. But after digital payments, what's next, right? That is the question. And that's the next phase of Web3 or open finance. The MAS has also mentioned that digital assets will disrupt open finance. So I think if we look at what's the next phase, that's where we should start looking. It's a very difficult concept, I think, for a lot of people, right? So I think the challenge is to make sure that we laymanize that so that more people understand what it is and what it could be used for.
John, you earlier talked about NFTs by Filipino artists. Is that one way to laymanize digital assets?
Well, it's a particular use case, but maybe to get back to your first question, for us, the future of finance is three things. It's embedded, it's open, and it's decentralized. So for SMEs in particular, what does embedded finance mean? It means that credit, you talked about digital payment, but more than digital payment, credit, insurance, it's embedded into the ecosystems that the MSMEs are participating in. So if I'm a small business and I'm a dealer of a fast-moving consumer goods organization, on the back of me ordering and selling their product, I now have a transaction stream that's enabled by digital payments, but I can leverage that for credit or for insurance coverage, as an example. So that's embedded payment. For open, we live in a country that the majority of people are still not banked, and that includes MSMEs. So by definition, one bank or one provider is not going to do it all. If they could, the Philippines would already be fully banked or fully protected retail, right? So in our minds, the future is open. It's the aggregation and virtualization of multiple financial service providers. And then lastly, decentralized, which takes us right back to Artifact. We believe that more and more financial services will be democratized, middle layers and middlemen will be cut out, and anything that's democratizing anything actually represents a pretty unstoppable force, and we think we're going to see that play out in finance as well.
All right. Speaking of digital assets, Dino, from your perspective, you help clients grow their wealth. How do you envision, the process of growing one's wealth in the digital economy? Is COL Financial now looking at what John just mentioned? Digital assets like NFTs, for example. Are you there yet?
No, not yet. No, we're really just starting with the more basic and traditional type of investments that people can, avail of to build their wealth into the long term. So it's very standard products at the moment. We will do this by either educating them and empowering them to make well-informed decisions. So we are, looking at things that have been proven and time tested in terms of wealth building instruments, like funds or even bonds and corporate debt.
But what is your view? I get why you're saying you need to focus on growing that group yet, because less than just 1% of the Philippine population are invested in the stock market. But what are your thoughts on digital assets now as they enter?
I think digital asset is something that is new, and I think people just have to understand how they should, include this as part of their portfolio. But I think it's at a very early stage. So before they start getting into something that is, not yet proven, or this takes time to really understand, they should start building first their nest egg with more traditional, conservative kind of products.
All right. Nate, I'm very curious. Digital banks are known to be faster, more accessible, more convenient. But what do you think is your role when it comes to investments, when it comes to helping clients grow their money, grow their wealth?
I think collectively, the industry, myself, we've done really well on the payment side of things. I think overall we kind of failed on the credit investment insurance so far. So I think we have a big goal as a distribution. We're all about onboarding customers affordably, and then helping them protect, save, invest. I think there's a big role for us to play, both on the traditional asset class we're talking about, but also the operation.
Because the Philippines is not your first market. It's not the first market for GoTime.
So Time Bank in South Africa we launched 3.5 years ago. We have over 5 million customers, so growing at about 150,000 customers a month. And of which actually about 2/3 of those customers come from our physical retail channel on board, which we're going to be doing here.
All right. Wei, coins.ph. When we look at investments, cryptocurrencies has been a pretty hot topic lately. Look at Bitcoin, down to 24, over 60. And people are concerned. It's very volatile. The experts, some of them have said it has no basis for value. What do you tell those kinds of critics who look at cryptocurrencies this way?
Yeah, so I have like two different views. I think that's a little bit different. Because I think going back to sort of crypto, I think cryptocurrency is just like the earliest phase of what a digital asset is. All it is just like it registers your ownership on a public ledger in terms of who owns what, right? And then Bitcoin's been around the longest, and it's kind of like the granddad of and it probably has the biggest branding effect of all digital assets, right? And that's basically like what I call like the gateway drug in terms of someone coming into cryptocurrency, coming into owning digital assets, in terms of having your own wallet for the first time, in terms of actually sending something peer-to-peer for the first time, rather than sort of relying on a centralized network. So, but I do think that what I see as sort of like the real transformation that's happening, that's actually been enabled by sort of blockchain and public ledger and by Bitcoin, is more about what I call the industrialization of digital assets and the renaissance of the renaissance of actually ownership. What I call it, like one analogy that I kind of make is like I see like Facebook and Alibaba and Google as like the feudal lords of like the digital age. They're like the medieval like the kingdoms of the medieval. And then what we're going through right now is what I call the Renaissance period. Mainly is because we started having land reform. And what land reform means is that you can actually own your own digital content or digital asset for the first time, rather than sort of in your own wallet, right, on your phone, right, or on a ledger where people can see what you own. And what blockchain is enabled is that I can now transfer that from me to you or to him, right? And then sort of cryptocurrency is basically just a medium of exchange, right? It's just like money, right? It's like in the Middle Ages coming out of the Renaissance, what was the first thing that got developed? Banks, right? Well, how can I transfer value over time? And all digital currencies are, the blockchain networks are, is sort of like the early stages of basically money being moved around, value being moved around, right? And then what NFTs are is basically, just things of culture, right? Value of culture, right? And then that's what NFTs are. And then what happens when you have ownership of property? People build on that property, right? You build factories now, and then you build things, and that's what sort of like that's what the content is. Right? Content is basically the new types of I would say things that are getting sold. And what I see really possibility for the Philippines is like, and then fintechs are awesome because we facilitate, more movement of money, and we increase in 2 and 3, right? People get sophistication. You got to create wealth in the first place, right? And that's what I see as a real opportunity here in the Philippines, is we actually have a tremendous amount of opportunity to utilize our people to start creating into this digital economy, right? And actually exporting that. So instead of building, like electronics or cars or sneakers, like our peers in China or other parts of the world, we're actually going to create a new type of export, which is digital content, right? And why is Philippines perfect for it? Like the English, like it's the only country in Southeast Asia other than Singapore where like English is the mainstream language. That's massive, because like English is the language of the digital world, right? I think that's the opportunity that I see here. So it's a little bit jumpy. So if you want to comment on Bitcoin, it's 20,000, it's 80,000, it's 100,000, it's $5. Like that concept of Bitcoin is already proven, right? It's just a matter of more adoption that's going to take place. And also, I tell everybody, cryptocurrency is extremely, extremely volatile, borderline violent in terms of how the price moves. It is. It's very violent movements, and the movements always happen on the weekend when you're sleeping. So, because why? Because it trades 24/7, right? That's when market happens, right? In the after hours, right? So just be careful when you invest. Don't look at the charts. Lock it away. Come back in 5 years.
Come back in 5 years. John, you wanted to say something?
No, I just wanted to, something that was getting at is so critically important to SMEs, and I just want to highlight it. The digital assertion of ownership is absolutely key to credit for SMEs, and it gets lost in all the crypto and the NFTs and all that stuff. But the digital assertion of ownership, just to make this very nuts and bolts, in the Philippines, collateral was very much governed by an ancient law here. It came out in the 20s or the 30s, and it's the Mortgage Chattel Act or something. I'm not an expert on Philippine law, but it's a very old law. Very recently, the law of the land has been modernized, it's been upgraded to the Personal Property Securitization Act. A lot of developed nations have this. The forward-thinkingness of the Philippine law is actually very advanced, and all that's missing is the digital ledger to actually record and be able to assert that ownership. That will unlock credit on the back of any kind of collateral. In the Philippines, to date, the only thing you could really collateralize was real property. But now, tractors, inventories, and digital assets themselves. We're going to sell digital representations of artwork through Artifact that now becomes collateral for credit under PPSA and under the whole point, I think, that Wei was getting at when it comes to digital assets.
And still on the backbone, not just Bitcoin, cryptocurrency, but the underlying technology, blockchain technology. Rico, I'm very curious, as an insurtech, Etika, are you on the blockchain? Are you using this technology already?
We are not yet using it, mainly because we still need to be clarified as far as the regulations are concerned. But there are already movements that we're seeing in other countries. And what we'd like to do is maybe from our side, here in the Philippines, and the entire association of the insurance industry, how will blockchain really change the way we do things? Whether in terms of payments or whether in terms of assets. So it's something that is very new for the insurance industry.
What needs to be clarified? You did say you're still waiting for some issues to be clarified with regulators, I imagine.
So, in the same manner, for example, in the banking system, so the BSP has kind of laid out some regulations when it comes into blockchain, cryptocurrencies and all. So the insurance commission, so in that sense, should be able to lay out also certain policies and regulations on how blockchain can be used by insurance companies in the way they manage their businesses, or even the acceptance of cryptocurrencies, whether that is something that can be accepted by the regulators, by the insurance commission, as an admitted asset of an insurance company.
Do you have a timetable, a target?
We don't have. So because of the changing of the government, so we need to work with the new insurance commission leadership that will be upcoming in the next months or so.
And Yusek Almiro beside you will also be helping.
Definitely, definitely.
Putting you on the spot there, Yusek. But before, go ahead, sir. You want to say something?
Well, it's quite a different dimension, right? It's like we're talking about multiverse here, right? So the real money here, and then there comes the cryptocurrency here, and then there comes the NFT here, right? The data assets. So I guess the government need to be enlightened as well, right? So I think government need to have a multi-government soon, right? So now what I'm saying is, I think the new administration officials right now are very open-minded, and I guess we're not here to somehow, complicate the processes, regulations, etc. As long as we'll be able to put it in the proper implementation, of course. Since we want everyone to be a law-abiding citizens, right? So what I'm saying is, I guess, the government is ready to, like BSP, the past administration, they're very supportive. That's why they have Go Times there already, right? Bank and other digital banking, they have licenses already. So I guess moving forward, there will be more, new laws and bills to be approved to support this kind of initiatives.
We're really living in interesting times. I read an interesting article on Forbes saying that the hottest real estate market is no longer in the coastal shorelines. It's in the metaverse, where they actually sold what the record so far is $4.3 million property. on the metaverse. I can't even begin to wrap my mind around it, but to help us understand and connect the dots, the cloud is doing a lot of the work, the back-end work here. Alan, connect the dots for us. How is Alibaba Cloud, driving fintech and digital innovation?
Yeah. So we know that actually cloud is a very large scope, including the infrastructure, the service, platform service, and also software service. I think for most of the SME also the companies, cloud, the resource and also the service is a very functional part for for this kind of company to accelerate their business and also to enhance the efficiency for their companies or their services go to market. Yeah, and also because in the cloud, no matter Alibaba Cloud, also Microsoft, and also even the web service already have a very solid and also functional cloud infrastructure, and also have a very comprehensive the software or just like the SaaS marketplace there. So anything, just like you can just like choose something and from the marketplace infrastructure and also even the security compliance of this kind of the cloud vendors can make some functional rules to the business and also for the it's like for the good market and also for the collaborations. Meanwhile, Alibaba rose unique values for the SME and also the companies is, I think, now for now in the Philippines, most of the SME and also the companies, even including some rural bank, they wanted to upgrade their, digital infrastructure or digital business, but sometimes, how to do it, and also, how to meet the compliance, and also how to use, the disaster recovery, backup, and also the data residency, a lot of complicated things. Also, there is really need some functional partners to support them. And also another thing is about the digital mindset is also very important. So that's why Alibaba Cloud we collaborate with a lot of partners to release abundant the talent empowerment programs, including the e-commerce programs and also the payment programs and also the the importing and also exporting trading this kind of program. Just like actually it's not only for the current generation but also for the young generation that they can get more digital skills and also digital mindset, and also when they graduate from the university or they just like join some new companies getting the new roles, they already play some important functional or roles in the digital economy or digital transformation for the country. Yeah.
Thank you for that, Alan. Whenever we talk of cloud digital services, the number one concern still is cybersecurity. So I guess I want to ask Ramesh. Ramesh, who's joining us as well.
So it was also a culture shift. But definitely right, it's still a business at the end of the day. And so you have to think, where is the intersection between doing something digitally and, of course, at the same time, thinking about the bottom line. But at the end of the day, at least for our end, what we always consider is that, is it good for our customers? Because I guess that's one of the guiding principles that we pick up all the time, is to put the customer at the center. Right. So yes, there's pros and cons. Obviously, at the end of the day, it's a balance. I'm not gonna lie and say it's all peachy, right? But it's the reality of how things are. But I think it's more progressive, considering that the bank is one of the pioneers of being the fintech bank of choice here in the Philippines.
John?
Yeah, I think you don't know what you don't know, and I suppose there's always what might appear as legacy mindset or not knowing where to start. But in the case of Avoides and Union Bank, unequivocally, it's been very intentional right from the start. And it starts at the top, Eric is right. And so with the support of forward-thinking leadership, that's where we are today. When I joined Union Bank was already well on its way through its digital transformation journey, and they were already asking, once we digitally transform a bank, what's next? And what was next was what I alluded to earlier. It's a future that's embedded. People aren't even going to go to the bank. They're not even going to go to the bank app on their phone. It's going to be seamlessly embedded into the activities and experiences that matter. The future is likely open, and as I said before, decentralized. And that very much was the genesis of UBX as a technology company. We're not a bank. We're not a financial service provider. We are a technology company spun out from a bank. So where I come from, we say the proof is in the pudding. So I think the fact that UBX even exists speaks to the forward thinking and the leadership of Union Bank and the Avoides ecosystem.
All right, thanks, John. Rico, what about for Etika and for the insurance companies here? I know that you're not yet on blockchain, but when you look at your digital journey, where are you? Are you using artificial intelligence, machine learning, big data to make predictions, to calculate risks?
Yeah, I guess I'll speak first as far as the industry is concerned, and there are those who are prime movers in using technology in terms of their digitalization journey. But there are those also who are kind of lagging behind as far as using technology in the way they operate their business. In fact, if you look at the many industries, mainly the insurance industry as a whole, both life and non-life, they're not necessarily at the forefront of technology. However, when it comes into my own company, we're one of those that's starting really with our own digital journey. In fact, we have used a lot of RPAs, automations, in the way that we do things now. In the past, it was very hard for people to get in touch with us, to be able to get that, what we call a letter of guarantee for our corporate health clients. For you to go to a hospital, you need to get that letter of guarantee. But what we did for our company is to be able to employ a system where automatically they can get their LOG in less than 15 minutes. Because it's automated and our own system will be able to determine whether we can give that automatically and approve of it. So we have launched it last month. So also this year we were able to launch another system for our clients to be able to secure, again, that letter of guarantee from our company. So more and more, a lot of companies are moving toward automation, RPA, machine learning, and maybe at some point even the more advanced technology solutions like calculating risk and even parametric risk, how do we calculate many of these things, and hopefully at some point even blockchain technology and cryptocurrency as a way for people to pay would be something that we will see also in the insurance industry.
Do you see that the day come that, Rico, for example, insurance industry is a very legacy heavy industry. Before when you say, I have 10,000 agents, that's an asset. But when you go digital and you realize, I can do much more with far less, the 10,000 suddenly doesn't look like an asset. They become excess baggage for some. Do you see that day coming that the way your workforce is built, performed, streamlined, will change because of this digital journey?
Definitely. In the entire Asia, the way they distribute insurance is through a person, either an agent or a bank, right? Even here in the Philippines, that's how we do it. But more and more we see that insurance can actually be distributed through technology. One case in point for our company, we sell travel insurance via our website. And because of the easing up of travel restrictions, we are now able to sell travel insurance via our website. And we've seen really a traction in the last months or so that people are getting travel insurance not anymore via an agent or via somebody, but via technology. So, and it's already automated for us, right? I mentioned to you earlier about our goods insurance, our gadget insurance. We've sold 2.1 million in the last 5 months or so without any intervention from an agent or somebody for them to get that particular insurance. While I have great respect for agents and banks, more and more as we see that there will be that point in time where in technology will really influence and affect the way we distribute insurance policies.
The agents will also have to evolve
They would have
in that case. Go up. the value chain. Dino and Wei, how are you using technology, advanced cutting-edge technology when it comes to investments, when you look at investing?
Yes, for COL, what we, technology has really helped us democratize investing by, allowing people to access, get more knowledge and guidance, use tools to help them make smarter investing decisions. But it's also, at the stage of the country where financial literacy is just picking up, and therefore there's a need for a lot of education to help them feel more confident, to put more than the usual amounts or, their excess money, but really hard-earned money to work. And technology has actually helped us do that. And of course, it's still a long way, and people still want to be able to talk to people, to be able to get, decent advice or actual advice for their money. But technology has definitely made it much easier for all of us to do.
But I imagine you have a wealth of data points that you gather from your hundreds of thousands of clients who transact online as well for COL Financial. What are some of the interesting insights or trends that you're seeing that you got because of technology?
I guess what we've seen is the kind of investors that are now coming to invest their money in the stock market. In the past, people really had no knowledge at all. Slowly, you can see that they're much younger, but they're more confident and they have little knowledge because they're self-taught. They're highly motivated. This group is now highly motivated. They want to learn on their own. They want to have the power of choice. Unlike in the past, they'll just tell me what to do. Now they say, what can you offer? So there's a difference in the way people are seeing things, how they use platforms to do. So that has really helped us, and the data, of course, continues to evolve.
All right, thank you, Dino and Wei. What about you for coins.ph? I'm very curious. I know that Bitcoin is just tip of the iceberg, but after the wild swings, I'm very curious. Did it spook Filipino investors? Did you see less traffic on coins.ph?
I think overall for coins, I think as well, along with the industry, like peak to bottom, we're like half of the traffic was where it was compared to third or fourth quarter last year. I think where people, where I think like I'll come off a tangent here a little bit in terms of I actually think like right now there's actually too much information on the internet about investing. There are too many quote unquote money gurus, quick rich schemes, and like too many of these KOLs posing as the next Warren Buffett. Right, there's like a Warren Buffett of every industry, of like every asset class now. It's like all selling their advices and services to basically newbies, right? Which is essentially what they see. And I see that as an issue, and I think that's something for coins. Obviously, we want to educate, right? Some of the things that we want to work on is actually crypto inclusion. Like we have what I call like a reward incentive program with Globe, where you can basically convert your Globe points, loyalty points into crypto, right? Very low, like 5 peso, 10 peso kind of a thing. So you get to use to what's it like to own some digital assets on a centralized wallet, right? And I think that's those are baby steps, right? But to jump in from baby steps directly into like Dogecoin, it's like that's a wild jump. Right? I mean, which is basically what happened, second half of last year, right? All of 2021, right? And I think this is where it's important for guys like us to be, to act as, I wouldn't say gatekeeper because I hate it, right? I hate being gatekeepers, but I think we almost have that responsibility to be gatekeepers, to sort of educate, don't intimidate, right? Because most people are just intimidated by cryptocurrency, right? That's why we're coming out with, Coins Academy, where we're actually going to sift through some, general content about just educating people, because there's, it's very risky to self-custody your own assets, right? Cybersecurity is a huge thing. SMS scams, spoofs, phishing, they're all there, right? So if you come into money, we have to really figure out how do I protect my money in the first place, right? And I think that's something that's really important. So we're working pretty actively with regulators, coming out with smart regulations, coming out with more education programs. So I think, that's just as important as to grow your money, but it's also important to protect your money.
Good point. Ramesh, everybody talked about their own digital journeys here. For those who are more advanced, they're into digital assets. They've gone on to move their business models to the digital space. Others are just dipping their toes in it through automation. I'm very curious, how smart are bots? how smart are digital systems? Could you give us a sense? I know they're supposed to be smart, but what are the risks that they can also be gained by certain elements? Can be manipulated?
Yeah, great question again. We're talking about digital transformation, digitalization, and this started almost like a decade ago, actually, when we are trying to put more systems online and things like that. Obviously, it is accelerating in some parts of the world where you're seeing a large number of actually unbanked, underbanked, non-urban population trying to get onto the services, and obviously accelerate a pandemic that people didn't have to go anywhere, just sit at home and do stuff online. So that's why you're seeing the proliferation of all these services. On one side, I'm a huge believer in this kind of work that people are actually getting to do certain things for themselves and build a sustainable economy. On the subtext, of course, is to see the type of technologies available for building the digital pillars, for example, like AI, the ML, machine learning aspects of it. You're looking at identity science. You're looking at, from a data perspective, data science, or collecting more information about a specific user, building a profile, and things like that. And for example, Facebook has something like 20,000 data points on an individual. So the question is, how does these kind of technologies that are also available for, let's say, the good guys, are also available for the bad guys in the sense of how they're able to build the same type of intelligence to get to know more about you as well. So as digitalization is increasing, you're also exposing this type of businesses. What I kind of tend to say to my friends is that the best online secure system is a system that is not connected to the internet.
Solidify and maybe standardize the eKYC transactions using our national ID later on, so that when someone Union Bank, process the Alibaba Cloud and use and buy through the coins.ph and maybe buy it on e-commerce platform or any payment gateway and even insurance, everything will be verified that it's really David Almerol who is actually transacting to Union Bank, opening an account to GoTime, and being, processed in Alibaba Cloud, and then the one who's actually processing cryptocurrency to coins, really actually, using the e-payment through the Ethica, and of course, on the COL. So maybe the eKYC can be the solution here. And I think the government, I hope I could help, and I'll do my best to do that. In fact, some of you like John, they're able to test those eKYC platforms already, and even Way also, they're able to test it. I think those are the things that the government can contribute, so allowing everyone now to have not only trust of transaction or trust to someone or technology, but trust to technology. We need to have that kind of mentality that once they use a technology, they know it's secured. My data is secured, my transaction is secured, my money is secured, and there you go. We can go on over the multiverse whenever we go later on, right? Thank you.
All right, clearly the USEC wants to work with everyone. It's a whole community effort. I think Ramesh raised his hand. Final word, Ramesh, you have thoughts on this issue?
I just agree with the Undersecretary, I believe, that they were speaking. This is the exact same attack profile that happened in Malaysia this last month. Exactly the same attack profile of how people are able to use one bank, one service, use crypto to cash out. And this is this is not something in the future. It actually is happening. So thank you so much.
All right. And on that note, ladies and gentlemen, a round of applause for our second panelists. Thank you very much for joining us in the second panel discussion. Wonderful discussion, better visibility, better clarity on the future of technology and what that means to society. Before we close, we'd like to invite all of our speakers to please
succeed is primarily because what Undersecretary has to do going forward. because without the national public infrastructure in place, open finance, open economy is not possible. So, sir, it's all yours.
Yes.
Help us to get there. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Public-private partnership at its best, at its finest. Thank you very much for joining us today.
See you in October. And see you in October.